paradise, put up a parking lot with a pink hotel, boutique, and a swinging hot spot. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? Be paradise, put up a parking lot. Ooh, bop, bop, bop. Ooh, bop, 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 bop. Took all the trees, put them in a tree museum, and they charge the people $1.50 just to see them. Now don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? Be paradise, put up a parking lot. Ooh, bop, 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 bop. Ooh, bop, 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 bop. Hey, farmer, farmer, put away that DDT now. Give me spots on my apples, but leave me the birds and the bees. Please, don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? Be paradise, put up a parking lot. Ooh, bop, 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 bop. Ooh, bop, 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 bop. Late last night I heard the screen door slam, and a big yellow taxi took away my old man. Now don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? Be paradise, put up a parking lot. Ooh, bop, 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 bop. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? Be paradise, put up a parking lot. Ooh, bop, 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 bop. Be paradise, put up a parking lot. Ooh, bop, 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 bop. Be paradise, put up a parking lot.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Glad to see that we all made it. One of us, or two of us, have taken off our shoes because they're soaking wet. I think that's a good move. I think water is squirting out of my sandals as I walk, but it's for effect. So really glad we could all make it. If you're visiting us, we're especially glad you're here, and we want you to know that we have a music CD for you. And if you'll see Austin Patton, our sound man, after church, we'll be glad to give that to you. We hope you have a good visit here today, and we hope you'll come back to see us. Also, I just have a couple of things to remind you of. If you'll look at your bulletin and check that red box on the back, next week we're going to continue our good time after church by having a meal together. Everybody's invited. You don't have to bring any food because the food's going to be prepared for us. So please make your plans and read the rest of that box because we could use a little help with setup, and you can be a part of that if you'll call the number there. Also, Marty, the roses. Marty said to please remember there's roses for every woman in our assembly today. We're happy to honor women and all that they are and do for all of us. And so be sure and take a look at that. I don't know if there's anything else. No, they're in the Welcome Center. Okay. Also, we're about to sing a song together, and that'll be your time to come on up and bring your offering and your little tearaway sheet. Tom McDermott is our regular minister. He's away for today, but he'll be back with us next week, so no worries. All right, let's go.
Please stand and join with us, won't you? Lyrics are up behind me on the screen, and they're also in your bulletin right there. Here we go. Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've I've been sailing all my life now. Never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue ballroom. All right. Let's sing again. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in a beautiful blue boat home. One more verse. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, read the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is a blue ballroom. Wide universe. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue ballroom. Righteous! Way to go, people. Hey, take a moment, offer one another signs of peace, would you please?
Okay, as you find your seats, this is our Kairos time, our sacred moment of quiet between the last thing and the next thing. And so this is our time when we just relax together. So if you would like to close your eyes, and let's just listen to the sounds of the breath of life. And now, if you'll join me in the reading of Psalm 46. You are our protection and strength, help in the storm of anguish and despair, exactly and easily found close at hand, so we are not afraid. Even when earth's in upheaval, when mountains are carried to the sea, when the sea's waters roar and foam and the mountains quake and tremble, with the water swelling. In the middle of the world there is a river, streams run to it, making glad your cities, making glad the places where you are known. You flow as the waters of that river, and she shall not be moved, for you are with her. You are the morning that dawns over quiet waters. Nations rage, kingdoms tumble. This is the sound of your voice. This is the earth melting away. You are with us, our defense, our silent center. What we see is all you're doing. These desolations, these terrifying moments, only your unmoving movement. You cause wars to cease, and when they cease, to cease forever. You break the bow, snap the spear, burn up the war wagons. Be still and know me. Be still and know that I am what the nations grope toward. I am the earth's desire. So we know you are with us, our defense at the center of things.
I want to ask you to sing again with us right now. You can stay seated, though. Here we go. You may be watching from a safe distance. You may be so close you can taste the blood. You may have headed for higher ground. You may be drowning in the flood. Yeah. No matter what you do, hey, love will find you. Lost what little faith you have. You may believe with all your heart. You may be pulling yourself together again. You may be falling apart. No matter what you do, will find you, yeah. All right. One of you sees that love's a long-lost friend. One of you can recognize her face. One of you runs to her with open arms. One of you falls down in disgrace. You may see a million different gateways home. You may think there's only one way through. You may be waiting for the kingdom to come. You may believe it's in you. No matter what you do, love will find you. No matter what you do, love will find you. Love will find you. Love will find you.
I have wished the word
Thank you, Peter. I love how those poems are in conversation with each other, asking us to come out and see the beauty of the world. And then there was the time when one was wishing the bird would stop singing, only to realize who would ever want to stop the sound of a song. So thank you for that, and thank you for the flute playing too. Hey, if you guys read the blogs, you may know that I actually preached a version of this sermon last week at the 8:30 chapel service. But today I've added a dimension because I wanted to include in my thoughts some of the reflection I have about the week that has just passed. And you know what? You should know that when ministers and lay people like me, figure out what we're going to say for the sermon or the meditation, most of us are struggling with what's going on right now in the world. And we want to find some way to say something about that, something that matters. Sure, there's a lot of big general themes that fit anywhere and any time, but still we struggle to speak to something about what is happening right now in our world. But the other difficulty of preparing a sermon or a meditation is the realization that this is a diverse audience. I mean, people come to church for a variety of reasons. Some are here maybe today looking for a word of comfort, maybe looking just to be affirmed in what we already believe, or maybe looking for a new idea, for goodness sake. There's lots of reasons we come, and some of them include Mom said to come. And I know that moms get a bad rap sometime for making us go to church, and certainly we wouldn't want to nag and coerce, so we'd get the opposite effect. But maybe since it's Mother's Day, maybe we should say Mom was kind of right about that church thing. Church is a good place to be where really good things can happen. And so the speakers, the musicians, all of us who work on these services, we are hoping that something good happens for you today because of what we've planned. So last week I presented this, and I started with the notion that sometimes we have a religious experience or understanding that really ends up to be quite draining for us, because somehow we've learned that our life with God is about our seeking God, our pursuing God, our panting after God, and we can end up with some rather guilty feelings. Things like, oh, I just don't pray enough. I don't read the Bible or religious books enough. I don't try hard enough to do good. I don't serve people enough, and so forth. And so then we have this guilt-ridden understanding of life with God. And it can be exhausting. It can produce apathy or kind of a nervous fearfulness of God. And in some, it produces a harmful, zealous extremism that forgets all about neighbor love. And that, I think, is historically at the root of hate and war. And that continues today, as you know. But apparently, it's in our nature to seek after God, to try to figure out who is God, what is my relationship to God. People have written or drawn on cave walls, on tablets of stone, on clay, you name it, we've written on it, and now on digital screens, trying to talk about what we think and wonder about God. In every place and in every time, people have told stories and interpreted those stories and pontificated on those stories and written it all down for debate and further thought. We've made art and music and poetry because we want to say something about God and about our pursuit of God. And sure, that's part of it. We look for God. I mean, here we are today. We're here today because we're getting together in our pursuit of God. And that's happening, of course, all around the world all the time. But you know what? Seeking God, all of that I've mentioned, is certainly part of our life with God. That's right. But that just isn't all of it. Because life with God also means that God finds us. And I think that's really good news, because as I said a little bit ago, if we take that one-sided approach, it can be draining, it can produce guilt and a certain kind of craziness. So the good news is, in the words of that great song that we were just singing, whatever you do, love will find you. Wherever you go, love will find you. And maybe that means then that we can just relax a little bit. and enjoy being the children of God, living on this beautiful earth that is our home. The beauty of the earth is our primal teacher about the goodness of God. No doubt, if we went around this room, everybody could talk about a beautiful place that you've seen, whether the tops of Rocky Mountains looking down on the orange desert floor, or the green mountains of North Georgia where my dad is somewhere sitting on the porch today, or maybe a sparkling diamond lake that you visited when you were a child, or how about the Pacific coast with the yellow moon just falling gently into it. There's these beautiful places everywhere, and they're not far from home. I'm a city dweller. If I look out my windows, which face east at a certain time of day, I can see pink and gold glittering off of the Horton Towers. They're right there. That's my signal to run outside, look toward the west where the sun's falling over Summit Avenue. Now, this happened just the other day. I did this. There's the beautiful colors. I go running out the door. And I live at the Firestone Apartments. So for me to run west is to run past the spa, past the sand volleyball thing, the grills and the pool where all the Barbies and Kens are. My husband and I are the grandparents of Firestone Apartments, in case you didn't know that. And so I go running by and I say to these young adults, look, don't miss the sunset. So they all looked with me, or some of them did, and we did that thing you do when it's beautiful. And we smiled and they laughed, and they might have been laughing because the crazy lady had just run by, but I don't care. I was overcome with beauty. And the beauty of the earth is something that I guess most people agree upon. It has this power to move us, to stir us to something good. You remember that the first words of the Old Testament are, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And after the appearance of each of the parts of the heavens and the earth, after the grass and the trees, after the sun and the moon and the stars, after the animals and the people, there was this voice. And you remember what it said? This is good. It was a word of blessing. This is good. And so goodness and beauty are close kin. And when we experience them, we are often moved to this emotional, loving response, just like God was. Something wells up in us, and it's personal, but it's also something we usually want to share, like me telling my neighbors, look toward the sunset. And so here we are, just by virtue of being alive. Larry, will you get my water? It's I'm about to die of thirst. Here we are, just by virtue of being alive. We are surrounded by beauty. I mean, the earth is beautiful. People are beautiful. Even these carpets are beautiful with the intricate pattern. Our clothing, the music, those voices, those instruments, I don't know how they do it. It's beautiful. And we're moved by that. And those are just the things we see and hear. Then there are the things we feel. I mean, think about it. Just a few minutes ago, we sat here together in silence, joined together by the perfect sound of the flute, the quietness of our shared force of life, breath. That's something we feel and we know. And then we pass the peace, and this whole room kind of explodes. I mean, it's this resonance of joyfulness just because of human contact. We were being found by beauty. When we pass the peace like that, we know we're not alone. We know there's other good people in the world with good intentions, and they want good things and they work for them. And so beauty has found us. Beauty evokes in us this loving response. And so we say, wow, and we open up our eyes and we hug each other and we get cold chills and all of those things that happen to us when we experience beauty. This is beauty and goodness finding us. We don't even have to look for them. And so I think God is beauty. God is goodness. God is love. Not out there somewhere, but here right here with us. Whatever you do, it finds you. And somehow, even in our times of sorrow and doubt, even when the earth is ravaged, there is this mysterious wave of beauty that comes to us. And maybe we're comforted by that beauty, but at the very least, if we're in a very difficult psychological state because of the terrible times of life, beauty appears and it awakens us and challenges us, forcing us to ask again, is life good or bad? Am I alive or dead? And beauty helps us ask that question and maybe helps us say both. Beauty has that power. An example of this is the red poppies that grow in Flanders Field, the site of the bloody battle in Belgium in World War I. I haven't seen that place myself. I've read about it. I've seen pictures about it. It's the poet's reflection on how quickly the poppies grew on the burial grounds of the slain. Though I haven't seen that, I've seen something that reminded me of it. In 2007, I was in New Orleans. And I was there 2 years after Katrina, and I was with a team of people. We were cleaning up after the flood. That work was ongoing as it is now. We were gutting houses that had been filled nearly to the ceiling with floodwaters. Our job was to throw everything out of those houses into the big dumpsters that were in the yard. And then we were to take the place down to the studs, smashing up the smelly and rotting sheetrock so that it would be ready for a clean start for the builders who would come behind us so people could return home. Now, one afternoon when we were done, I was driving the church van. Everybody here should have to drive a church van full of teenagers. It's its own thing. They were singing and laughing and being wonderful like they are. They're doing all that. I'm trying to get us home so we can take a shower. I look to the side and I see a yellow dandelion sort of sunflower thing sticking up in the rubble of some concrete. The sidewalks there had been pushed from their beds by the water so that it's not a nice straight sidewalk anymore. It's all crumbled and broken, and some of them even end to end like this, pieces of sidewalk. There was a flower sticking up out of there. I got the kids out of the van, of course I did, and I said, y'all look at this. And I call that flower defiant beauty. Once again, it was there in the face of devastation and unspeakable loss, yes, brought on by nature with no good explanation. Who can explain Hurricane Katrina? But this thing of beauty stood fiercely before us, equally as unexplainable as the devastation of the flood. And the flower was asking me, I think the children too, are you alive or dead? The flower said, I am alive. Now, we get into some deep philosophical waters when we try to decide on any theological reason and meaning for floods and wars. Though, again, it seems like we can't help ourselves. We spend an awful lot of time finding words to talk about that, too. We have to contend with the mystery of the tragedies of life. But apparently, they do not negate the beauty that is ever present in what we see and in what we feel. So I'm asking this question today. What is the meaning and value of beauty? For me, it's this. People have a lot of ideas about God, and not all of them are good. And we saw that again last week, just up the road in Garland. What we think about God will affect how we think about ourselves and others, and therefore how we will interact. To reflect on beauty as a sign of the presence and nature of God shapes my vision and my understanding. And even in the face of sometimes a ravaged earth, ravaged by elements, ravaged by war, these things make us feel forgotten and detached. Even there, beauty persists. And largely our response to that beauty is back to that emotional and loving response that wells up and spills out and evokes goodwill and blessing, just as it did with God. And so taking time just for a moment today to think about the beauty of the earth and our earth home reminds me that we are children of God, all of us, not just some of us. And remembering that, I am drawn to a fierce loyalty to you, so that that loyalty can replace cursing with blessing, and can replace our love of death and war with love of life. When beauty finds us, we just feel good and we want to do good. We are energized. But then last week, that Garland thing happened. Radicals who show little understanding of the difference between free speech and unlimited speech created an event that let go of the ideals that make for peaceful existence and neighbor love. Other radicals responded by attempting to attack, and in the end, 2 young men were dead in the parking lot of an institution that exists to educate our children. The whole thing was tragic from beginning to end, though of course we are thankful that there were not more lives lost. I was reminded in all of that of a story that my friend Hassan told me. Hassan is the man who's been changing my oil and fixing my car for 5 years. He's a gentle man. He's a kind man. He is a Muslim. A few years ago, we were suffering yet another episode of uproar in the face of cartoons about the prophet, and I dropped by the car shop. I just wanted to say to him, I'm sorry to hear about all of this disrespect. He looked at me steadily and said, you don't have to be sorry. Let me tell you a story. He said, once when the prophet lived on the earth, there was a period of time when one of his neighbors would dump trash on his doorstep every day. Every day, he would open the door, there's trash there. And so day after day, the prophet would clean up the trash and go on about his way. But one day, the prophet opened the door and there was no trash. The prophet immediately thought, Hassan said, my neighbor must be sick. I must go and see about him. And so he did. And indeed, his neighbor was very sick. And he took care of him, providing food and medicine. Hassan's point to me was that he himself was not getting worked up about the cartoons. He said there's no need to dwell on hateful things. We have a choice of what we will dwell on. If we dwell on hateful things, we are not ready to go out and serve when the need arises. As you know, Jesus told that same story with the Good Samaritan. And in one of his sayings, love your enemy. So I'm going to invite y'all just to think on that a minute while the band comes back up. I want you to think about Hassan's story and what he told me he chose to dwell on. And think about our blue boat home and the beauty that it can evoke in us. What we dwell on and do not dwell on drives our behavior. Taking time to dwell on the beauty of the earth and the sense of goodness that it evokes in us will transform us, and I think is the path to peace and justice. I think you guys are going to want to stand up and sing this song with us now.
Fed up like a letter for us. All they talk about is what is going down, what's been messed up for us.
much beauty in the world. Oh, shake your booty, boys and girls, for the beauty in the world. Pick your diamond, pick your pearl. There is beauty in the world. All together now. Oh, we need more love and oh, we need more money. They say change is gonna come. Oh, like the weather, they say forever. Oh, they say, and when they're in between, notice blue skies, notice butterflies, oh, notice me. Stop and smell the flowers, oh, and you'll lose it in the sweet music, oh, and dance with me. 'Cause there is beauty in the world, so much beauty in the world, always beauty in the world, so much beauty in the world. Oh, shake your booty, boys and girls, for the beauty in the world. Pick your diamond, pick your pearl, there is beauty in the world. Say now. Hey, yeah. Throw your hands up and holler. Hey, yeah. Throw your hands up and holler when you don't know what to do. Don't know if you'll make it through. Remember, God has given you the beauty in the world.
There is beauty in the world. There is beauty in the world.
Yeah, there is beauty in the world. Shake your booty, boys and girls, for the beauty in the world. Pick your diamond, pick your pearl. There is beauty in the world. Sing it now.
There is beauty in the world. So much beauty in the world. There is beauty in the world. There is beauty in the world.
Shake your booty, boys and girls, for the beauty in the world. Pick your diamond, pick your pearl.
There is beauty in the world.
One more time.
There is beauty in the world.
There is
Beauty in the world.
and there is
Beauty in the world. There is beauty in the world.
Oh, shake your booty, boys and girls, for the beauty in the world. Pick your diamond, pick your pearl. There is beauty in the world.
Y'all are so good. Yay. Let's join hands together and we'll speak words of blessing and we'll hear one more song. Thank you all for being here today. I hope you have a happy afternoon and hope to see you next week. Holy One, we give thanks for this time together. We give thanks for the beauty that we see and the beauty that we hear. We give thanks for the beauty that we feel. We ask you to help us to open up, to have eyes to see and ears to hear, so that we may be a blessing on this earth. Amen. I know.
Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. And I say, it's all right. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Little darling, are the smiles returning to their faces? Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. sun, here it comes. Sun, 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 here it comes. Little tiny, I feel that ice is slowly melting. Little tiny, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I said it's alright. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I said it's alright. It's alright. Take it easy. We'll see you next week.